The email arrived at midnight. 3 lines that shattered everything. Due to outstanding tuition fees, you have been removed from the graduation list. Please contact the bursar's office immediately. Emma stared at the screen, her breath trapped in her chest. 4 years of sleepless nights, ramen dinners, and relentless work, gone. She had no family to call, no last-minute savior. The ceremony was in 12 hours. She was supposed to walk across that stage, the first in her family to earn a degree. Now it was over. Then he walked in, and everything changed. Emma Carter had always known life was not fair. She learned it at 8, when her mother worked 3 jobs and still could not keep the lights on. She learned it at 16, when her high school counselor told her college was a stretch for someone like her. She learned it every day, in the quiet hum of exhaustion, in the way her stomach twisted when her scholarship applications were rejected. But she refused to accept it. So she worked. She worked until her hands were raw from typing papers, until her eyes burned from late-night study sessions. She worked through 2 part-time jobs, through the whispers of classmates who assumed she was just another charity case. She worked until she was this close, one day away from walking across the stage, diploma in hand, proof that she had clawed her way out of the life she was born into. And then the email came. Emma sat on the edge of her dorm bed, the glow of her laptop casting shadows across her face. The words blurred as tears welled in her eyes. $3,200. That was all that stood between her and graduation. A sum that might as well have been $1 million. She had paid everything else, every penny scraped together from tips at the diner, every dollar saved from tutoring underclassmen. But this last bill had slipped through the cracks, buried under a pile of overdue notices she had ignored, hoping for a miracle. Now, there was no miracle. Just silence. Her roommate Lila was already gone, packed up, moved out, celebrating with her parents at some fancy dinner. Emma had no one to call. Her mother had passed away 2 years ago, and her father had never been in the picture. There was no emergency fund, no wealthy relative to swoop in. She was alone. Emma wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand and took a shaky breath. Maybe she could plead with the bursar's office in the morning. Maybe they would let her walk and pay later. But she knew how this worked. The university did not care about her story. They cared about numbers. She closed her laptop and stood, her legs unsteady. The dorm was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that made her feel like the world had moved on without her. Outside, laughter echoed from the courtyard, students celebrating, taking pictures in their caps and gowns. Emma turned away from the window. She could not bear to look. Then a knock at the door. She froze. No one should be here this late. Another knock, firmer this time. Emma hesitated, then crossed the room and pulled the door open. And there he was, Daniel Reyes, billionaire tech prodigy, the university's most infamous dropout. And, for reasons Emma still did not understand, the man who had spent the last 6 months quietly slipping into her life, showing up at the library when she was studying, bringing her coffee when she was exhausted, listening when she talked about her dreams like they mattered. He was dressed in a tailored black suit, his dark hair slightly tousled, as if he had been running his hands through it. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, sharp, intense, locked onto hers. "Emma," he said, his voice low. "We need to talk." She blinked. "How did you even get in here?" He ignored the question. "You saw the email." Her stomach dropped. "How do you know about that?" Daniel stepped forward, his gaze never leaving hers. "Because I am the reason it was sent." Emma's breath caught. For a moment she wondered if she had misheard him. But the look in his eyes, guarded, calculating, told her she had not. "You, what?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Daniel exhaled, running a hand over his jaw. "I called in a favor," Had them flag your account. Emma's pulse roared in her ears. You what? I needed to talk to you. Tonight, before graduation. She took a step back, her hands curling into fists. Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea what you just did? His expression did not change. Yes. Emma wanted to scream. She wanted to throw something. Instead, she just stood there, shaking, the weight of the last 4 years crashing down on her. You ruined everything, she said, her voice breaking. I worked for this. I earned this. And you… I am going to fix it, he interrupted. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Oh, now you want to fix it? Daniel's jaw tightened. Emma, listen to me. I did not do this to hurt you. I did it because I needed you to hear me, properly, without running away. She stared at him. Running away from what? He met her eyes. From me. Silence. Emma's chest tightened. She had been avoiding him, ever since that night a month ago, when he had shown up at the diner where she worked and stayed until closing, talking to her like she was the only person in the world. Ever since she had started feeling something she could not name, something dangerous. Because Daniel Reyes was not just wealthy, he was untouchable. A man who owned half the city before he turned 25. A man who had no business caring about. A broke college student. And yet, here he was. Emma swallowed. Why? Daniel took another step forward, closing the distance between them. Because I am in love with you. The words hung in the air, heavy and impossible. Emma's breath left her in a rush. You cannot be serious. I have never been more serious about anything in my life. His voice was steady, but there was something raw beneath it. And I could not let you graduate without telling you. She shook her head. This is insane. You got me kicked out of graduation to tell me that? I told you. I will fix it. How? Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a check. Emma's eyes dropped to it. The amount made her dizzy. Tuition. Paid in full. Plus enough to cover whatever you need next. He held it out to her. Take it. She did not move. This was not how this was supposed to go. She was supposed to do this on her own. She was supposed to prove she did not need anyone. But now, standing here, she realized something terrifying. She wanted to take it, not just the money. Him. Emma looked up at Daniel, her heart pounding. What happens if I take this? His gaze darkened. Then you walk across that stage tomorrow. And after that? He smiled, just slightly. That is up to you. Emma's fingers trembled as she reached for the check. The moment she took it, something inside her cracked open. Pride, fear, the stubborn belief that she had to do everything alone. Daniel's hand closed around hers, warm and steady. Breathe, he murmured. She did. And then, for the first time in years, she let herself cry. Not the quiet, controlled tears she was used to. This was messy, unstoppable. Daniel pulled her into his arms and she buried her face in his chest, clinging to him like he was the only thing keeping her upright. I hate you, she choked out. He laughed softly, his fingers tangling in her hair. No, you do not. Emma did not argue. When she finally pulled back, Daniel cupped her face, wiping her tears with his thumbs. You are walking tomorrow, he said firmly. And I will be in the front row. She sniffed. You do not have to. I want to. His voice left no room for argument. Emma studied his face, the sharp angles, the quiet intensity in his eyes. This man who could have anything wanted her. It did not make sense. But for once, she did not need it to. She leaned in and kissed him. Daniel froze for half a second. Then his arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer, his mouth slanting over hers, with a hunger that stole her breath. It was not gentle. It was claiming, as if he had been waiting for this as long as she had been running from it. When they broke apart, Daniel's eyes were blazing. "Emma Carter," he murmured, "you are going to ruin me." She smiled against his lips. "Good." The next morning, Emma walked across the stage. Her name echoed through the auditorium, and as she took her diploma, her eyes found Daniel in the front row. He was not smiling. He was watching her, as if memorizing every second. After the ceremony, he found her in the crowd, pulling her into his arms without a word. "You did it," he said against her hair. Emma closed her eyes, breathing him in. "We did it." Daniel pulled back, studying her face. "What now?" She knew what he was really asking. Emma reached up, tracing the line of his jaw. "Now," she said softly, "we figure it out, together." Something like relief flickered in his eyes. Then he kissed her, right there in front of everyone, and for the first time in her life, Emma did not care who saw. Emma used to believe that love was a luxury, something for people who did not have to worry about survival. She was wrong. Love wasn't soft. It wasn't easy. It was Daniel showing up in the middle of the night with a check and a confession. It was him refusing to let her push him away. It was the way he looked at her, like she was the answer to a question he had been asking his whole life. A year later, when she stood in the kitchen of their penthouse because somehow, impossibly, this was her life now, Daniel wrapped his arms around her from behind, pressing a kiss to her shoulder. "Happy?" he murmured. Emma turned in his arms, smiling up at him. "You know I am." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Good." And that was it. No grand speeches, no dramatic declarations. Just them. Emma had spent so long believing she had to do everything alone. But the truth was, the strongest thing she ever did was let someone love her. And Daniel, he never let her forget it.